And Dana, take us, you talk about October 2008. Ed Gillespie comes up at that time. I don't know how he managed to get out of it. Comes up and visits in the middle of the financial crisis. I guess you were helping him hold down the fort down in DC at that time. What's happening behind closed doors in the White House during the financial crisis? You're basically going out to the press every day, and it is something that the country has never seen. And it's not only, it's our press, it's just whatever you're saying in the room is being magnified exponentially.
And you're playing with people, at that point, it's not just people's lives on the battlefield, you're dealing with people's livelihoods.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember sort of August of 2008, we started to feel like, oh, we're gonna get out of this thing alive. You know, you could sort of see the end of January 20th, 2009. You got your own countdown clock in your head. Everyone's got to have a plan. I don't come from money. I didn't have a lot of savings, so I was going to need to work pretty soon after the White House ended. I wanted to go to Africa and volunteer, so we're making that plan. Everybody's sort of thinking, like, how do we get the president out of here in the best shape possible? And we were under strict instructions from President Bush to make sure that our transition to Obama was very smooth and professional, which I have to say was heralded as across the board. And I remember in August 2008, all of a sudden, on Sunday mornings, almost every Sunday morning that month, we get this phone call from the White House operator saying, Secretary Paulson is asking for a conference call. On a Sunday in the morning, we get on the call and he would say, we all need to meet tonight. Are you kidding me? Why? And we're irritated. Okay, but it must be big. And I didn't know what was about to happen. We knew the economy. I knew the economy was not great. I mean, and I sort of read a few things, but no, I wasn't prepared for the credit default swap questions at the briefing the next day. That happened every Sunday that month. I do remember when he called the Sunday, I don't know if I have the right day, it might have been the 20th of August, and he called and he said we needed to meet, and his voice cracked. And I think the chief of staff said, who is it? And he said, Goldman. And that was personal for him, right? In a way, I mean, obviously he was professional, but he had been at Goldman for so long. So we met that night, and you know, for the next 8 weeks or so, it was just such a roller coaster. I mean, if you're in the White House and you're watching the stock market go like this, I mean, it was thousands of points up and down. Not really sure what was going to happen. I will recount for you a story that President Bush talks about in Decision Points. I was there for it. We were there on a Sunday. Hank Paulson and Ben Bernanke were there, and the president, they're basically asking the president to ask Congress for the money to bail out the banks. And it was going to be the Troubled Asset Relief Program. And we're all sitting there, and President Bush asked the last question. He said, if I don't give the go-ahead for you to ask for this, what in your expertise do you think is going to happen? And they both said, it is our estimation that we would see something worse than the Great Depression. And the president said, well, I'm not going to be that guy. So we all went into the Oval Office, and I remember he looked at Gillespie and me, a couple of others, and he said, I just want to go around the room. I want to ask you, did you hear what I heard Hank Paulson and Ben Bernanke say? So we made sure we were all on the same page, and then he called them over at the Treasury Department. They had already walked over, and he said, go ahead. And then we had the big thing. I just remember one thing that really irritated me, though, as a press secretary. So when that bill is passed, it's called the Troubled Asset Relief Program, TARP. So I'm trying to learn all about that. And one thing that really bothered me initially was that I'd like to do a little reporting before I go to the briefing room to make sure that I was solid. So I would ask 4 different people, what's a credit default swap? And I would get 4 different answers every single day. And I was like, okay, that's a problem. Then that's a problem. And also, all those guys that loved to be on TV before the financial crisis, they could not be found. So I was doing the briefings myself.